The reality is you also need the experience. So you need to be hustling because that hustle will help you on YouTube. They want to support you because they want to grow with your success. It took a while, but I figured out what I was doing wrong with YouTube and started doing it right, and actually started generating a lot of business.
Welcome back to the REVB Podcast. And today, Katie, we've got our friend Jeremy Knight. Jeremy, what's happening, man?
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, most of the time, like we do this whole intro thing where we say good things about you, and we say how great you are, and then we're like, welcome. But I figured we just get right to it.
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah.
You know, not a lot of
nothing great to say. So that's how we're starting. We're starting low bar.
Low bar.
Yeah.
Low
thanks.
bar.
Well, I'm glad I could start this whole round of podcasts off at the low bar. So perfect.
I like it. So you're one of the first people to kind of crack this code of YouTube and generating buyer relocation leads, which I know we'll get into kind of where the channel's gone.
Yep.
But I think that's kind of where you started. You're in Austin and you really kind of nailed that. So tell me about how you got started doing that and what that looked like.
Well, I realized that I was answering a lot of questions people are asking, especially in the relocation side. And I realized I need to just start putting this on video. So when somebody asks me the question, I can go, here's a video on that area. So a lot of people would say, you know, I'm moving from California, let's say, and I need to, I don't know the difference between Cedar Park, Leander. And so I thought, all right, I'm just going to create a video about this. And then every time somebody asked me a question, I start creating more videos. And then it took a while, but I figured out what I was doing wrong with YouTube and started doing it right, and actually started generating a lot of business.
Well, and that was what I was going to ask, is because like I feel like we all had that on YouTube where like you're just making a ton of content. Like this is something that's a question. This is something that's a question. What was the shift for you when you realized like this is how I need to make content, and having, you know, different buckets and like an actual plan?
Yeah, it's actually the end of 2019. I sat down with Christina Smallhorn and some other people that were doing it. And I was just saying, like, I'm not getting the traction that I need to get. And the reality is I was making content for everybody and not my niche audience. Now, relocating is a niche audience, but it's actually not. It's very wide. So I started making more content that was about what I wanted to talk about and the areas I wanted to serve. And I started getting more and more clients for those specific areas. So that was really nice there. And really the buckets of content, I figured out the 4 things that we're going to generate leads, right? Everybody's asking me about new construction. So let's talk about this type of new construction. Everybody's asking me about relocation. Let's talk about this type of relocation. And I realized a lot of people were nervous about the market. So, okay, let's talk about the market. Let's be honest about the market, because a lot of agents, they just try to sell whatever the market is or whatever it is. They're
like, it's a great time to buy.
Yeah, right. It's always a great time. I realized that when I moved to Austin, all the things that I really liked about Austin were great. But then I was like, man, there's all these things I don't like about Austin. I wish I'd have known those. And so really, you know, when you go to an open house or when you're cold calling, you're building trust, and it's hard to build trust in that amount of time. So if you just build trust in video off the bat, people trust you more and they want to call you.
Well, and so you definitely went really deep there. So thank you for that, and appreciate like all the info. Going back to one of the first things you said, you were like, I got very specific about where I wanted to work. And so that was price point, area of town. Like I feel like a lot of people who do YouTube, it's just a dumping ground for videos, right? And so you got very specific on what was like your target market or target audience that you zoned in on.
Austin, there's 2 sides to Austin, North and South Austin. And I realized that, yes, I wanted to help people in North Austin, but I wanted to focus on those like tech people that wanted to live in South Austin. So what content can I create around that? What are they asking me? You know, a lot of times agents are going to say, well, I don't know how to come up with that content. Honestly, just go to Facebook and make a post and ask. And your audience, whether they love you or not, are going to give you that information, especially you, Katie. They
love me. is what he's implying by that. That was funny. That was a funny joke.
I mean, they're going to give you everything you need. So just ask the questions. You know, Tim and I are in a bunch of different relocation Facebook groups, and, you know, real estate agents get kicked out of there pretty quickly when they start asking for business. So instead, just ask questions and comment and see the common thread of what people are asking. And then, you know, how does that relate to the people that I want to work with?
And that's even a video idea tactically there too, is going into the Facebook group and saying, hey, what do you wish you knew before you moved to St. Louis? What did you wish you knew about Phoenix before you moved here? And then you'll get a ton of engagement and a ton of things. And then those are the things you talk about your video. And what I love is when our agents do that, and they're not necessarily saying like, I hate the parking, or I hate the traffic, or I don't like this. But you're just highlighting what other people's opinions are. And so you keep yourself as this neutral expert, and that kind of content. Like, I think people go on YouTube for the inside scoop. And like you said, as soon as you start selling, you lose half the audience.
Right. And it's funny is a lot of people get upset. Like if you go to YouTube, you're going to get kind of hate comments, especially being a realtor or selling real estate, you're going to get hate comments. Those hate comments are so good for your channel because then you can say, this person said that they hate this area. I don't hate it because look at all the cool things. Now you look like the good guy, right? Because you're taking the hate comment and you're taking and flipping it on its ear. So
have you done like the mean tweets and just like done a whole video of like people hate me?
Bryce, that's the next video we do. Yeah.
Mean content. Yeah. Just
mean tweets.
Just like mean tweet, like, read all the mean comments about,
I've done some sort of that because I bring it up on a lot of different videos, but that would be a fun one. It'd take Bryce a long time to go through all the hate comments. Yeah. It's a lot of hate comments. Yeah.
You just print the like YouTube page. So you have like, just read them out.
My favorite comment was on a live stream. Cause if you're not doing live streams as well, I highly recommend doing live streams on YouTube. Somebody said I had a punchable face on a live stream.
That was me.
That was it?
That was me.
Oh. Your dinosaur Bob 713. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I
713. It's a Houston.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. Live streams. Do you feel like agents need to have an audience already? Do they need to wait to start doing those?
No, I think it's really smart too, because if you think about it, a live stream will replay immediately onto YouTube when you're done with it, especially if you're through StreamYard or wherever. So do the live stream and then it sits there as content. And then what you can do is if there was a good section of that where you were talking about something that was great, you can cut that into another video. So I don't think you absolutely have to have a big audience. And, there's an audience for everything, right? So there's an audience for people that want to sit and listen to an hour podcast. There's an audience of people that want to listen to a 4-minute podcast or a 4-minute clip of a podcast. So do the long content, do the live stream, get used to answering questions. And the thing is, more people will, when they do come on, you can answer their questions and it creates an even better audience.
So starting out, let's talk about agents that want to get started. I'm just going to go in this direction because it's what comes up whenever I bring this up to people. They're like, Tim, no, you don't get it. There's already an agent in my market that does YouTube.
I love this question already.
So what do you say to people that are like, oh, there's already an agent or there's already people on YouTube? Like there's no opportunity for me.
Look, there's a lot of business to go out there, even though we've seen a reduction in sales, right? But I have in my market, Raj Sehu, right? He did not want to do what I did, right? He did not want to be on camera. He just wanted to show people homes. And he goes, I'm going to take this and just do property tours, new construction property tours, model home tours. And he, I was the big channel at the time, whatever it was, 12, 13,000 subscribers. And so anybody could have said, hey, I can't compete. I'm not even going to do it.
Well, soft flex there.
I was like, yeah, that's a flex. 13, I'm going to just go ahead and
12 subscribers
on here real quick.
I'm at 16,500. Like nobody's counting, but
for reference, Raj is at 8.1.
Yeah. So he's at 8,000 views or 8,000 subscribers, right? Raj, when I'm at 12,000 subscribers is going, look, the big channel out there. I can't compete with this guy. I'm going to do it my way. And he did it his way. And now he's at 8,000 subscribers. He's doing $40-50 million a year. Here's the crazy thing, just on the buy side of new construction. He's not even doing listings. And that's where he wanted to do is just new construction. So I think everybody needs to look at what value you bring and don't worry about whoever else is in the space.
Well, and I think, we've talked about this before, is like there's different channel types, right? And it's like you can have the local information, which is what you've done. You can have the property tours, which is what he's done. There's so many different things that you can do. So it's like, I think one, you can do a different type of channel, but two, like I don't think that it's necessarily oversaturated, right? Like, we see people pop up on YouTube and start doing it all the time. And I think it's the consistency, right?
Yeah.
That really matters.
If you think about podcasts and everything in YouTube, just not real estate related, everybody looks at Joe Rogan and goes, Joe Rogan's got the biggest podcast. Nobody else. Why would anybody else want to compete? I can't be. Tucker Carlson just took him over, right? You have all these other podcasts that are doing so well just because they took a piece of what somebody else does and then they made it their own. So don't be afraid to make it your own.
Well, and if you go into your market and you've got look, even a Ken Posick, which I think everybody loves Ken.
Yeah.
There's probably people on YouTube that are looking to get more information about Central Florida.
Yeah.
That maybe don't like him.
Maybe they don't want to work with a big, 20 agent team, right?
And what's fun about YouTube is if you go out there and you really put yourself out there and you're authentic and all the cliche things we talk about, you find your audience. And so even though there's an agent in your town who crushes it on YouTube, like you still have an opportunity to find your audience that doesn't connect with them. We had one of my clients. And now I can say past clients because we left San Antonio. We don't like to use the past client term. One of our past clients
for life, Tim.
I know, clients for life. So we're talking to her And she's like, oh, and it was like awkward. She was like, oh, we're actually buying an investment property. And it was awkward because like she wasn't using us. And it was no big deal. And
I think that's why you gotta stay in front of your clients, Tim.
I know.
Do we want to talk about like things that you do to stay in front of your clients?
Yeah.
But what was funny was,
oh, he's telling a story.
What was funny was, she's like, oh, I saw your friend Trey's videos on YouTube because we were looking at different stuff on YouTube. And she's like, but I actually used this other guy who was Jonathan Silva, who's, you know, one of our other people with a YouTube channel. And it was funny because she was like, yeah, I just like something about the way he talked. Like I really liked his stuff. So they have like hundreds of subscribers compared to Trey's thousands of subscribers. Trey's got a video a week, tons of views. They don't yet. My past client, because, you know, gone now. Acquaintance connected with them better. Yeah. Less views, less, and ended up working with them. And so it doesn't matter how noisy it is out there, like being yourself, putting your voice out there, you're going to find people that want to work with you.
You know, there's a person in Phoenix, like if you look, there's a lot of big Phoenix people, right? Or agents on YouTube. Sean Jardine, who just wanted to focus on 55 and over. There was nobody else in that niche market. She started doing 55 and over, and she is doing 40, 50 million a year, doing one video a week, talking about what it's like to be 55 and over. And so there is a channel for everything. So just because it's a channel out there, like make yours a little bit different, right? Just do what's best for you.
And Phoenix is a very competitive YouTube real estate market.
Yeah. There's a lot of really big people out there doing really big things.
What do you got? You gotta have a question there, Katie. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to take this conversation?
I think back to kind of for people starting out with YouTube, right? You know, I keep going back to like YouTube being like a dumping ground. People just put in a ton of videos, right? What would you say if I were just starting out or I were trying to revamp my channel to like actually get business from it? One, how long does it take to get business? Right? Because you hear that a lot in the groups. Like, I've been doing this for 6 months. I've been doing this for 12 months. I'm not getting any business.
I would say realistically, if you're doing it right, it's going to take 3 to 4 months to start getting business. The challenge is you're not going to know if you're doing it right for 3 or 4 months. Right?
6 months.
Yeah. So I would say 6 months. And I get this question all the time. I want to do YouTube. I'm going to get leads from YouTube. I'm going to sell YouTube. I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do between now and the time you start getting actual leads from YouTube? And the answer is, well, I'm just going to do YouTube. Okay, well, you got to get business some other way between now and then. The reality is you also need the experience. So you need to be hustling because that hustle will help you on YouTube. So if I were to restart my channel right now, or if I were to start from zero, here's what I would do. Number one, I would grab a camera. I would not grab an expensive camera. I'd get a Canon M50. I would get the VZE-10. I would get something cheap, or I would just use my phone. And I would vlog style everything I can about every little detail, all the way from, hey, I'm going to do a property tour. But by the way, as I'm going to go through the property tour and show you this new construction, home, I'm going to actually tell you about some of the experiences that I've had helping clients in this community, and then walk through and talk about it. And maybe you haven't, right? Maybe you're a brand new agent. I would interview other agents that are extremely successful, take what they're talking about and their experiences, and make a whole channel where you're like growing. Hey, grow with me. I guarantee you'll get way more people that want to support you because they want to grow with your success.
I love seeing people when they're moving to a new market, like do that. Romeo, who's is moving to Texas. Daniel is moving to Texas. And so he's been basically vlogging his entire, we're 30 days out, we're 29 days out, we're 28 days and countdown.
Yeah.
And talking about all the things and why they're moving and the tax rates and the home prices and all that. And it's like, there's 30 or 60 or 90 days of content that, I think is a really good move.
Yeah.
How frequently would you put out videos? Like when you're first starting out, would you do, like, as you're saying, like documenting the journey, vlogging, talking about, the different neighborhoods and things like that? Is that like a multiple video a week? Is that batching content? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, because I think when you start, everybody's worried about their content being spectacular. So they overthink it and they don't put it out. Tim always has that problem.
Yes, I'm a perfectionist.
I would get it out because the reality is the first few videos, people aren't going to watch. It's literally going to be video 10, 11, 12 that they watch. So get all the crappy videos done early.
Out of the way.
And so and everybody's time is different. So if it's putting out a video per day, if you can keep up with that, I would put out a video per day for 14 days and then cut it down to 3 videos a week, maybe 2 me and our schedule, we do one long form video a week plus a bunch of different short content that goes out. And then we have another channel that we do 1 to 2 a week on. So I would say, just do what's going to work for you and your schedule. And then don't really worry about and get caught up in the details and other stuff.
And then I love YouTube's funny too, because we have people who put out a couple of videos and they're getting 200, 300 views, which we look at as not that much. Oh God, yeah. Right. But the thing with YouTube is that if you're getting 200 or 300 views on YouTube, those are better views than 200, 300 random people on Instagram, random people on Facebook, because for some reason, 200 or 300 people clicked on your video about a specific topic.
Well, think about this too. When you do short form content, how long is somebody watching you for?
9 seconds or less.
Right. Okay. When you do a 15-minute video and somebody watches 7 minutes of that video, and I mean, because a lot of times people are only watching about half the video. That's 7 minutes of people actually watching you. The first client I had come into Austin said, Jeremy Knight, my favorite Austin realtor. And I'm like, as they got out of their car, that's my tagline, right? Right.
That's funny.
My phone calls are, Jeremy, I've watched hours of you. It's really hard to watch hours of somebody on a short form. Now, what is the whole point of doing YouTube? Because this is what people miss. What is the entire point? It's not to sell homes. It's to build trust. It's a lot harder to build trust in a short form video. I'm not saying that's a bad way to do it, but you build way more trust when you have opportunity to articulate something in a conversation or show something. And so you're building more trust. And so that's why I think the leads that I get from YouTube are not leads like, they're going to waste my time, because I've actually talked about wasting my time in video. So they're like, here's where I'm going to get to, right? I will give an experience. I have a client, they weren't sure which area they wanted to be in. So I actually gave them this information. They went through this information and they called me once they realized they wanted to be in this area. So guess what happens? Client's like, hey, I went through and watched all the other videos. I really think these are 2 areas we want to be in. Can you sit down and talk us between the 2? That's a much easier conversation than here's North and South Austin. Where do you really want to live? And then you're driving around for 3 days straight. And then they go, I'm going to go to Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, I love it. You're kind of telling your YouTube world who your annoying clients are. And then people are self-identifying and saying, yeah, maybe I shouldn't call them.
Look, Raj Sahu on his channel goes in the hook of his video at the very beginning, within the first like 20 seconds is, hey, I'm Raj Sahu. I may not be the agent for you. More on that later. There are people there are people that will say, hey, Raj, you may not be the agent for me, but let's interview. And then can you put me in touch with somebody that would be the best agent? Because they know that he wants the best for them. And that's what he says later in the video. Look, I don't work with everybody because not everybody is the best to work with me. I work with a lot of different agents that I may give you, so then it makes it easier. The hard part is on YouTube is you get a lead and then you got to give it off to somebody else because you don't have the time or it's not the area. And then they don't want to work with you. He has set the groundwork that he's most likely going to refer you off.
And not only that, it drops so much sales resistance to reach out to you, because we're all worried that like when I reach out to this person, they're going to try to sell me
and like call you over and over again and never.
So no, that's brilliant.
I forget you're probably going to have Raj on here, so I should stop talking so nicely about him.
I don't. Do you want to tell him?
Look at this. I gotta go.
No, we already had him on. We had him on before we had you on.
Oh, so I'm not going to say anything more. Hi, Raj. Love you, buddy.
No, Raj said if you ever were on, he probably wouldn't watch. So it's fine. So you can do whatever, say whatever you want.
I want to dive tactically into what is probably for people starting out is the thing they don't think about, which is thumbnails and titles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's arguably the most important thing to get good at. Mm-hmm. So where do you start?
All right. So this is really big because you're going to have people reach out to you when you start a YouTube channel. Oh, your SEO is crap. So here's how we're going to, pay us $1,200 a month and we're going to fix your SEO. There's 4 pieces of a video that are important. Number 1 is the content itself. Number 2 is the SEO. Number 3 is a thumbnail. And number 4 is a title. Okay. You can have the most amazing SEO, but if the content's not great, then nothing else matters, right? So I think the thumbnail and title are at least 50% of what's going to get that video clicked. So there's lots of ways to come up with titles. Go to ChatGPT, give me the best titles. You can go into the SEO world and figure that out. Go into the SEO and it'll rank which one's going to be the best for you. There's ways to do that. The reality is you want to make it very hooky that somebody feels like they can't not click on that video. Now, the thumbnail, you have to have that thumbnail looking really good. So, you can use AI now to help you with thumbnails. There's so many different tools out there, but I think that the thumbnail and the title are probably at least 50% of what you really should focus on.
Well, I thought you were going to dive in a little bit heavier on the SEO side, because I think the SEO is crap. I think all of these services and talking about keywords and tags and all this other stuff is mainly crap. Your title and your thumbnail should be something that you want your niche audience to click on. And if they do click on it, that does your SEO, quote unquote, for you.
Right.
You know, your click-through rate is what does your SEO for you.
100%. And I'll give you a prime example of that. So Trey Serrano, our friend, and beautiful man, he did a video. You know, he was up against an agent that was doing really well on YouTube in San Antonio. He put this video out. By the way, it was just a copy of the video I did. You're welcome, Trey. But he did this video and put this video out, and it was like 70,000 views. I'm like, man, what were your tags? And he's like, what are tagged? And so that's like a prime example of why people overthink the SEO. It's important, but the reality is if we had 10 of the same videos, 10 of the same titles, the opportunity for the consumer, like if I'm going to search moving to Austin, Texas, and there's 10 titles are all very similar, but the thumbnails, there's one that pops, great color. I can see the background. I can see maybe one word text that really makes me think I got to click this, somebody's face. You know, Dan Parker, shout out, face on, face off. But there's something on there that makes me want to click that. That is going to get your videos more views. And now what happens is YouTube goes, oh, people are seeing this and clicking on it. So now we need to put it in front of more people like you. And this is why I think YouTube is the best tool, because it is going to cultivate your audience for you. And yes, thumbnails are very important.
Well, and Trey's a good example on that specific video. It was Coming to San Antonio. That was the name, the title of the video. And then it was Trey's face, the Alamo, and Elon Musk. And so that a lot of times when agents make these videos, they try to tell people exactly what the video is about in the thumbnail and title. And there's actually a lot of power in not exactly telling them everything and leaving a lot of curiosity around the video. So when he had Coming to San Antonio and he's got Elon Musk on the thumbnail, people are like, what is Elon coming to San? Is it? And so that's the difference, I think, on that, is piquing curiosity on the thumbnail instead of just telling everybody. So it's like agents, we just want to have these long thumbnails and these long titles with too many words on them, when actually less words and more curiosity usually wins.
I kind of wanted to summarize a little bit on that one, as Tim's muting me and unmuting me over there. So you're saying fewer words on the actual thumbnail itself?
No, I think it's really smart to have the exact same title that you wrote out 13 words to put on the title on the thumbnail.
Sarcastic.
There's sarcasm.
That's sarcasm. No, okay. I think that's the biggest thing that most annoys me most is when agents do that they think, because the reality is if you're a consumer and you're or a viewer and you literally read the entire thing on the thumbnail and it's in the title and there's no mystery, I'm not going to click on it. You got to leave mystery. Just like, wow, Tim made a good point.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you don't need to talk. So it's on the actual thumbnail itself, right?
Yeah.
So a good colorful background, you know, something that's going to catch your eye.
Yeah.
Face on, face off. There is a debate on that. Dan Parker has a very nice face, so I could see why he puts his face onto thumbnails.
And why I would not want mine on there.
Exactly. Yeah. But when you do, it's a close-in shot. You know, you can see the whites of your eyes.
Yeah.
Any other tips on that front?
Yeah, there's an airbrush tool that'll really help you make you look beautiful on PicMonkey.
Yeah, you can really dive into the rabbit hole. Like Trey dilates his pupils on there because the click-through rate was higher, and then sometimes I think that might be a little too much.
Your eye brighten and the teeth brighten.
Looks like he's like on drugs.
The other approach is that you come up with the thumbnail and the title before you make your video, where most agents make a video and then they're like, oh, which of the title and thumbnail be?
What camp are you in?
I'm in the camp of just get it done. It doesn't matter which way. I mean, whatever works best for you. I mean, there are people that have to have the thumbnail and title done before they can think about the content. I'm more of the, okay, I need to do a video about this. What are people going to ask? What's the questions I can ask? Okay, boom, get it out. Okay, now I got to do the thumbnail and title. But
kind of moving on from that, because I feel like we could beat this to death for hours.
But it's important.
Okay. So
I think Tim's jealous because he doesn't know how to make good thumbnails.
That is true. This is me selfishly on the pod trying to get better thumbnail ideas.
Having content ideas.
Yeah. Having content.
Do the things. That's why Tim wants to talk about this longer. But no, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was your content process, right? So I know in the beginning you shot yourself and you edited yourself, and then you went to an editor and then you went to a videographer.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of people, they start kind of the same way. And so when you went from shooting it yourself to then using an editor, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you used to cut down the videos a little bit and do things to make sure that you were getting what you wanted.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about finding an editor and then like working with an editor.
I think you got to do a little homework first before you do anything, right? And I think this is what happens with most agents. They'll see my channel, somebody else's channel, and go, I want to get there, without knowing that there's a process to get there. So I think it really is important for you to learn how to shoot and learn how to edit. Because there's times, you know, Bryce is sitting over there. There's times where I'm like, Bryce, here's what we're going to do. And Bryce's head looks like it's going to spin around. And I realize what's happening. Bryce is trying to figure out how he's going to get these shots, how he's going to, but because I've done it so long now, I know exactly what he's thinking. And so we're on a much, like, our stuff when we shoot it goes by way faster because I already know what he's thinking. I'm like, okay, I thought about the shot from here, here, and here. So when you're starting, I think it is really important to start and do maybe 4 or 5 videos on your own. Grab your camera, because the reality is the first few videos are going to suck. Right? It's okay. Let them suck. They don't have to be, you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on somebody to make these fancy videos. In fact, the rawness, like we're in the car the other day, Tim and I are shooting a video. Bryce over there is freaking out because the camera is not perfectly still. And I'm like, dude, you got to love the rawness of this video. People love the rawness. And that's what I'm saying. If I would have had to start over again, I would vlog.
Yeah.
I would vlog and do a vlog. So don't overthink it. Just do 4, 5, 6 videos and then start the transition into bringing somebody in to help you, because you have to understand how these things work. Otherwise, you're just going to quit doing the channel, and it's going to cost too much. And then it's going to cost too much because you're not knowing how to do it right.
Well, and I think when you go to hire either a videographer or an editor, right, having some technical knowledge is helpful, because like a videographer could say like, oh yeah, I charge $100, $1,000, whatever. And you don't understand what goes into that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think doing some on your own as well is helpful just to understand that process.
And I think there's agents want this set it and forget it, done for you kind of product that is non-existent. I see it all the time in the Facebook groups. Hey, what's the service I can hire to do a YouTube channel for me? And it's like, no, you are the producer of this channel. Like you need to know what the content is. You need to know why this thing's going to work. You need to be the one that's directing this thing. And, you know, I think there are 2 camps. Everybody makes fun of me because I'm so sporadic. And so I'm in this like not consistent camp, but there is also a camp that's very consistent, but isn't analyzing and adjusting their content all the time. So they've been doing the same thing and they just keep putting it out, and it's not doing any, you know, it's not getting the results they want because they're not in the mix on it enough, trying to figure out how to make it better. So I do want to give you a little shout out because you do a great job helping agents looking at their channel and helping tweak. But how important is that in the process? It not just being consistent, putting it out, but actually improving it.
So remember I said you won't know if you're doing it right until like 3 months. If you're not getting calls, you're probably not doing it right after 3 months. So what's really important is to understand is as you put out, and the other thing is like everybody wants to have perfect videos out the gate. I know I'm harping on this, but you're not going to know if the videos are good or not, even though they could be the highest quality, until you actually had some data to look at. And so, you know, 6 videos in, 7 videos in, start actually really analyzing the data. Are people dropping off at this point? Why are they dropping off? What did I say at this point in the video that made people drop off, right? Was it that I spoke too long? I got too long into the thing? Was there not enough shots? Do I need more B-roll? What can I do? And that's where once you start bringing a videographer at that point, you can understand what you've been doing wrong and they can help you fix it faster. So I would really focus on that. You know, the watch time I think is going to be the most important piece, and then look at the click-through rate, right? If you got a click-through rate under 10 on your videos, that means that, you know, they showed it to 100 people, only 10 people clicked on it. Perfect. That's great. Now they put it, now only 6 people are clicking on it. Okay, that's not as great. 3 people are clicking at it out of 100. So you have to look at those things. So really get some video out and then start analyzing the data on the back end, because then you'll know how to get better, right?
Well, and I just feel like the agents that I know that are doing well on YouTube are really passionate about it. Like they enjoy the analysis.
Can you tell?
Yeah, they enjoy it. And I think there are agents that want the result, right? Like they want the YouTube channel that throws them business, but I don't know if they're really passionate about it. So let's
talk about the results though.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where I think the biggest misconception is. And, you know, it's easy to go, this person has 1 million views. This person's getting all of these views. And then you ask them like, hey, well, how much business did you get from that video that had 1 million views? And they go, Well, I mean, and so the reality is my best performing videos are the videos I was super passionate about and nobody watched. But those are the videos that get me the most business because of the videos I put a lot of time and care into. The videos I gave the best information and I get more clients from those videos. So the reality is you don't have to have, 100,000 views on every video. You don't have to have a 16,000 subscriber channel. You can have 100 subscriber channel like Jonathan Silva versus Trey with whatever he's got now, 1 million. So you don't have to have all the views. You just have to get stuff out that people want to watch.
But I do think you have to be passionate about creating it.
But everybody's so caught up on the views though. Like, I put out a video, you and I just shot a video and I put it out. I'm already like dying to know how many people watched it. And that's, and I'm not saying I don't do that. Right.
Let's check.
But everybody is like so caught up in the views. And sometimes we have to sit back and realize that it's not about the view count. It's about how much business I got from it.
We have, right now we have 7 likes. So we're
here. I'll like it. It's on Jeremy's page.
Yeah, it is a certified flop. But it's
okay. Everybody's at Tom Ferry listening to Tom right
now.
True. So
that's true. That's true. If somebody wanted to start a YouTube channel, community resource wise, where do you think the best place for them to start is?
Plug into the REVB base, what you guys are doing here, because you're bringing on so many.
That's right. That's what I'm
talking about. I couldn't hear it. Yeah. Literally, I mean, you guys have so many people in here that are passionate about YouTube that maybe aren't like quote unquote crushing it, but they're sharing ideas. What's working? So what's working for me isn't going to work. What's worked for you? What works for you isn't going to work for me. So plug it in there. There's a lot of good Facebook groups. I have a Agent Tactics where we talk about primarily is YouTube. It's a Friday mastermind. So you can jump on there.
Full time, right?
Yep. Katie Day is going to be on there in a couple of weeks. So we talk about YouTube on there. So in fact, you can go watch all the last ones. We have had Raj on there. We've had a lot of people that are doing really well on YouTube. I would just find where the community of agents is and go there. REVB is a good spot for that.
Can I
shout out?
So thank you for that. We didn't even
Did I push this to go?
Yeah, Jeremy, you're not allowed to touch the horn.
Oh, sorry.
Please don't touch Tim. Don't touch Tim Stapler. How can you tell? There are a lot of YouTube gurus out there in the world. So there are a lot of people selling courses. There are a lot of people, doing masterminds and things like that. And so how can you verify if it's legitimate or not?
I mean, you always have to look. If somebody's charging me a ton of money for something, you really do need to look to see, are there people that are successful from that, and find those people before you pay for anything. Right. Yeah. So you have people out there right now that are selling courses. Go ask people's honest opinion on it that are doing it. Find them like, hey, who bought this person's course? Does it work? That's one. I would say the reality is if I was to start YouTube all over again, I would go buy Daryl Eve's book, The YouTube Formula. I would read that. And then I'd immediately start asking everybody that does YouTube questions, find the community. But I have not paid for one single course on YouTube. Yeah. I've figured out the people that are the best at it, spend the time to figure it out.
Well, and I think, again, I'm just going, I get to sit back and watch all you guys crush it. Yeah. And I see common threads. And one of the common threads is that most of you guys talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's like a little group text of, hey, I just did, what do you guys think about this thumbnail? What do you think about this? I just did this and it really worked. I just did this and it bombed. And so if you want to get started, one of the best things to do is, hey, who else is trying to get started on YouTube? And then that becomes, you could be part of these Facebook groups where there's more conversation, but it's also good to have a group text with 6 people on it that are all going through the same thing.
Accountability buddies, as Dan and Misha say.
Accountability, but that's a mouthful.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a thing. No,
that's what they call themselves.
Yeah, but does anybody else call them that?
I don't know. It's kind of like
I call myself things too, and
no one.
It's not
listens.
actually a thing.
Yeah.
Back to YouTube.
Yeah.
Back to YouTube.
Sorry.
It sounds good though when you do the audio of it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, look, you got an audience of people here that are huge fans. T-shirts, waving Jeremy Knight signs. Wow. They want to get started on YouTube. What's like your final advice that you want to leave them with?
Just do it. Look, everybody overthinks it. You got to start. And if you don't start, I can't tell you how many people we're walking through the Tom Ferry thing right now. Everybody's saying, oh, I'm going to start YouTube this year. I'm going to start YouTube this year. And then it's been a year and a half. And they're like, Jeremy, I'm going to start YouTube this year. You're not going to go anywhere if you don't start, and then create a plan. I mean, I really would recommend creating a plan, because this is the biggest thing. Bryce is sitting right there. in my schedule every Tuesday from 10 to 2. It's in my schedule. Bryce and I are shooting. So guess what happens? I pay him a handsome amount to help me. And so I know I'm paying him regardless. So I have to do it. So I got to get it done. So you got to have the accountability buddy partners or whatever they were called, right? You got to put money up front to make, or give yourself a reason that you absolutely have to do it. Right. Because the thing is like, I'm going to do it. But I've gotten to the point now, it costs me money to not do a video. Like it is opportunity lost at that point. So you have to give yourself the reason to do it and just dive in.
I like it. We can leave it there. Jeremy Knight, thanks for hopping on the pod.
Thanks. Shout out Kitty Day. Accountability buddy partners.
Next time.
Oh, shit.